Good morning, class, or good afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. Today, we're going to talk about Greek mythology and the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Now, I want you to recall how last week we talked about the Greek pantheon, and we talked about Hades and Persephone. So keep those characters in mind, keep those stories and those entities. I was going to say people, but they're not quite people, are they? Keep them in mind while we do this lesson. And I'm excited to hear your connections because I know you've got them. So here is let me move my little guy there. This is an image, an oil painting by Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot of Orpheus leading Eurydice from the underworld. So I want you to take a good look at this. Just consider what's standing out to you in this painting. What do you notice about it? What's bold? What does it remind you of? Lock that in. And in this word cloud, I want you to click on the cloud and go and type in just free associate. What are your thoughts? What stories does it make you think of? Does it make you think of any other art? For example, it made me think of Sleeping Beauty. Has anyone seen the old Sleeping Beauty with the hand-drawn animation? I love it. I think it's so pretty. So click on the cloud and add your thoughts there. Here's another painting, another oil painting. This one's from 1826 by Louise Ducy. We're talking about Orpheus and Eurydice today. Now, Orpheus is either a mortal or a demigod, depending on the story, but he is the son of Calliope, one of the muses. Remember, we talked about the muses? So this muse was the muse of epic poetry. It was her domain. So he's the son of her and Apollo, the god of music, you'll remember. God of a lot of things, but relevant to this one is the god of music. So he was really good at music and storytelling, like famously good at it. Helped a bunch of other, remember we talked about Percy Jackson? Who doesn't love Percy Jackson, right? Yeah, he helped with a lot of those quests, like Jason's quest for the sheepskin, the golden sheepskin. So that's Orpheus, really, really good musician. And we've got Eurydice, who's a dryad. Remember the naiads and the dryads? So she's a really pretty tree lady. She's a tree nymph. And spoiler alert, she dies because we can't have a Greek tragedy without some death, right? So keep those characters in mind. And I want you to look at this painting. I know we just looked at the other painting, but take a look at this painting. You see their positions, what's standing out to you. And now remember, we're thinking about this in the context of Hadestown the musical, which is going to be about these guys too. So here are two stills. The one on the left is from the 2022 touring production, and that's Chibazi Ihuama and Hannah Whitley as Orpheus and Eurydice. And on the right is the 2019 Broadway production with Reeve Carney and Eva Noblezada. I want to pronounce their names correctly. And we've got them in those similar poses there. Just think about that. Think about our sense of different mediums of art telling the same story, right? So here's the story. It starts with Orpheus and Eurydice get married. Orpheus and Eurydice are so happy. They're so pretty. They're so in love. Everything's great, right? You never want to start with a happy ending. You're happily ever after. That's a bad place to start. It can only go downhill from there. So she gets bitten by a snake and dies and is taken to the underworld, right? Greek mythology. We talked about Hades is in charge of the underworld. So Orpheus, heartbroken, goes down to the underworld to beg Hades and Persephone for help. And remember, he's a musician, so he plays his little heart out, makes them cry, makes the muses, the fates cry. It's a big deal, making the fates cry. Remember, the fates are the three old ladies who spin the web, spin everyone's life thread. And Orpheus plays so well that Hades and Persephone are moved to tears, and Hades decides to let him go and let him take Eurydice back to the land of the living, back to the mortal realm, on one condition, that he cannot look back to see her. He has to trust that she's behind him the whole way. And that's a long trip. That's not just your little jaunt down the street. This is a trek, right? And of course, it can't be a tragedy without a sad ending. He does look back. The question is, does he look back out of love because he's so in love with her? Does he look back out of fear? But regardless, she's lost forever. So I want you to take out your notebooks. And in your notebooks, I want you to answer these 3 questions. Give me about a paragraph for each of these questions. Paragraph each. So I want to see 3 paragraphs for your homework. We read Romeo and Juliet last year. That's also a tragedy, a tragic love story. And this is a tragic love story. So what connections are you seeing? Do you think Orpheus is more like Romeo or Juliet? Do you think Eurydice is more like Romeo or Juliet? What parallels are you seeing between their stories? Second question, do you think Eurydice was really there? Some retellings of the myth say that Eurydice was never there to begin with, that she was always just a ghost. And my third question for you is, so Orpheus goes on his quest. This is where we're working off of Ovid's transcription of the myth. Virgil said it, Ovid said it, Plato has his own retelling of it. But in Ovid's retelling of this myth, why was Orpheus motivated to go down and get her? And why did he turn around? Do you think it was because he was in love with her, because he was afraid, because he's stupid? Tell me. Just give me a little write-up of that. And now I want you to answer, as you've been thinking about that question the last couple of slides. Click on this, the little image there, that pink and pinkish purplish chart. And what do you think? Do you think that he was afraid that Eurydice wasn't behind him? Was he excited to see Eurydice? He was so excited he just couldn't wait. Was he stupid? There's one translation that says he couldn't hear her footfalls. But if she was a ghost, if she was a shade, as they call them in Greek mythology, then she wouldn't have made any footsteps, right? Ghosts don't make footsteps. Or do you think it's something totally different that I haven't named yet? I would love to hear it. You guys are smart cookies. I've got a good batch of smart cookies. So click that little green button there, the green speech bubble, and let me know your thoughts. For extra credit, if you want some extra credit, watch this video. It's from the very well acclaimed, award-winning 2019 French film called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, where the main characters read a scene where they read the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, and they discuss why they think Orpheus turned around. So if you want some extra credit, give me a little write-up on that scene, what you thought of it, and whether you agree with the characters, the ladies, or not, on their conclusion. One more picture, one more oil painting. This is also 1826 by Carl Goos. How does this painting compare to the original, the one we first looked at? What similarities do you notice? What differences do you notice? What do you think is happening in this scene? What do you notice about the environment, about their clothing, about what they're holding, about where they're looking? Give me a few sentences on that in your notebook. Nicely done. I look forward to seeing you guys in class.